Last night's mini-budget gave little indication to Australians how the new federal government will address the key economic issues facing the nation, namely spending, debt, and economic growth. Now let's look at the fundamentals. Government spending will be locked in at 27% of GDP, reaching a record high of $729 billion by 2026. This is consistently higher than in any pre-COVID year since the 1980s. Gross government debt is set to escalate $1.16 trillion by 2026, almost half the size of our entire economy. Interest repayments are the fastest growing expenditure item in the budget. Treasury estimates that repayments will increase by 14% each year, on average reaching at least $32 billion by 2026. Economic growth is also forecast to collapse from 3.25% this year to 1.5% in the next financial year. Results from last night's mini-budget reinforces IPA research from August, which establishes that in an economic environment of rapidly rising interest rates, annual debt repayments will rise to at least $75 billion by 2030. Perhaps the most revealing part of the federal government's mini-budget was the staggering concession that household electricity bills will continue to rapidly rise from already record highs. After both sides of politics have asserted for years that more renewables means lower prices, the government has now confirmed what we've all known all along. More renewables means higher prices, not lower. Treasury estimates that energy bills are set to increase by over 50% at a minimum over just the next 2 years. This is exactly what the IPA predicted, with recent research showing that under net zero, a policy that's still supported by both major parties, energy bills would at least double by 2030. The political class's obsession with unreliable, expensive, and experimental renewables continues to distort the energy market, thereby pushing reliable, affordable baseload power generation facilities off the grid. One other item to keep in mind from the budget is the cost of the NDIS. Spending on the NDIS is set to increase by 14% per year, making it the second fastest growing spending item in the budget, behind only interest repayments on debt. By 2026, the NDIS will cost close to $52 billion per year. That's almost 20% higher than the budgeted defense spending. Without major reform, this rate of spending increase will be unsustainable in the medium to long term. Finally, the mini-budget fundamentally failed to properly address what's perhaps the biggest immediate economic challenge that Australia is facing today, which is the unprecedented nationwide shortage of workers. Today, there are 480,000 job vacancies across every industry in Australia. Australia's worker shortage is being exacerbated by current pension rules, which sees recipients lose half of every dollar of their pension for every dollar that they earn above $480 a fortnight in additional income. Getting more pensioners into work means higher wages, more spending, a bigger economy, and more tax revenue, which can be invested in schools, roads, and hospitals. Any Australian, particularly pensioners who want to work, should not face barriers to getting a job, and more needs to be done to address this immediately. Last night's mini-budget failed to begin the hard task of addressing the fundamental economic problems facing the nation. Australia needs a government that's willing to roll up its sleeves and get on with it without delay. For more information about the IPA's research, visit ipa.org.au.